Local stories, local people. We're taking you inside Western Mass news. It's the Even Better Western Mass podcast with Dave Madsen.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Even Better Western Mass podcast. Wherever you are, hope you're doing well, feeling optimistic about things here. Spring just around the corner. Of course, daylight saving time over the weekend, so the days are getting a little bit longer. And last week we had temperatures in the upper 50s and low 60s, so it does feel like spring is right around the corner. But we always know, too, in New England, that can change in a heartbeat, so we'll wait and see. You know, the COVID-19 pandemic has had an impact on all of us in so many different ways, especially on children. Many have been out of school now for just about a year. Not only have they missed being with their classmates and friends, but they've also missed out on taking field trips. My guests this week are Cindy Gaylord, the chairwoman of the Westfield Historical Commission, and Fred Gore, the owner of Fred Gore Virtual Reality and Photography. They've joined forces and have put together virtual reality tours for Westfield schools. Since school kids can't take field trips, they're bringing these field trips to the children, and adults for that matter, too. That's only scratching the surface. You'll learn more in my conversation with Cindy Gaylord and Fred Gore. Cindy and Fred, thanks for being on the Even Better Western Mass podcast. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Let's talk about it. I love this concept, and after having gone online and looking at some of the virtual tours, they're fascinating. So how did you two join forces?
Well, I'm the chair of the Historical Commission for Westfield, and as well as I was chair of the Historic Subcommittee for the 350th. And one idea that we had been talking about for several years was virtual tours, trying to put together some type of tours that anybody could do from their home. And then the pandemic hit, which made it even more important. And then Fred came to me actually with this idea of actually putting it together with his technology. He was able to use his 360-degree camera, and we could pair the text of the historic explanations with pictures. So we tried it together the first time on the Historic Monument Tour, and had such a great response to it that we have since done two more and had several more in the works.
Fred, technology is amazing, isn't it? It's just not like using your single camera there in the old days.
No, it's getting a little scary actually, because a lot of the cameras, as you know, everybody's carrying a camera, which is their cell phone. I mean, so you can actually do 360s with your cell phone if you have the right programs and the right stitching and all that. So technology is, a year from now, who knows what we're going to have.
I know. Let's talk about the technology that makes this happen.
Basically, there's a number of cameras that will do 360 work. Obviously, some better than others. Depends on what you want to do. It depends on how much you want to spend. A lot depends on the program that you're using. Basically, what the 360s are doing, well, if you buy a 360 camera, the camera is shooting 360 usually at one time. They have a camera out that will actually scan using lasers, very accurate. And you can use the regular 35 millimeter camera with like a wide angle 8 millimeter lens on it with a pano head on a tripod, and actually turn the camera one frame at a time until you get like 9 photos, put them into a program, stitch them all together, and there's your 360 degree. Mostly all of this now is being driven by software.
More than anything else. All right, Cindy and Fred, let's take me through the process. Okay, here you decide, all right, we want to do a virtual tour of whatever. How do you proceed?
Well, let's talk about the Dewey House that we just completed. Fred and I met at the Dewey House with Candy Pennington from the Historical Society, and basically did a walkthrough of the whole building. And Fred would take the 360-degree photo of each room, and he's being very humble and modest because it truly is has a lot more effort than he's made it sound like. So he will take that 360, which allows the viewer to basically feel like they are standing in the room. They can then move their mouse and completely look around the entire room to see everything that you would do if you were in person there. And then we decide on individual artifacts that he will photograph, and that's added on to the tour. So people, once they've done the 360 of the room, they can zoom in on the individual things and read the text that explains each thing. And then the arrows move you from room to room to room. So it really is like you are there in person. And what I really liked about the 360 for the outdoor tour is that it gave the viewer landmarks of where they were. For instance, if they were standing in front of the Richard Fowley Monument, they may not know where that is in town, but if they scrolled out, sorry, that was my phone. If they scrolled out, they could look around and see, oh, the Methodist Church is here, the Church of Atonement is here. Now I know where I am. So it really allows the viewer to know where they are.
Fred, the technology behind this is absolutely fascinating because, as you said, when we were talking about this before, how you can tie this in with a GPS, and it really is like being there.
It is, Dave, because like Cynthia was just saying on the monument tour around Westfield, the camera knows where you are, and you can, for the most part, what they call drop a pin. So wherever I snap a photo, I can drop a pin on a map and then incorporate the map into the tour. So if you get lost, you can pull the map up and there'll be an accented pin, which indicates where you are at the present time of you clicking it on. And then so you know where you are by the map. And then you can look around at the other pins, which are also marked. So if you wanted to go to General Shepherd and you didn't know where it was, you could actually mouse over the pins until you hit General Shepherd. And if you just wanted to fly over there, you click on the General Shepherd pin and you would just be brought to that location. So you never really lost. We include a film strip at the bottom of each tour. So in case you really get lost, you can find your way back by kind of using the film strip, which I consider a little cheating, but you really can't get lost.
You have to make it user friendly for everybody. What I love about this too, Cindy, is you're opening up what's in Westfield to the whole world.
That was our intent. We first thought, well, just people in Westfield would be interested in this, but we are finding that people outside of Westfield are now responding, saying how much they're loving seeing these things. They've either been to Westfield before or have relatives in Westfield. So yes, it can be used by anyone, and it will be here forever. It's a permanent type of archive that will be here. That teachers, we originally designed it for teachers, thinking they could use it with their classrooms, which they are now. Every third grader goes to the Dewey House for a field trip in third grade, and obviously won't have that opportunity this year. So at the school committee meeting on Monday, it was announced that all the third grades will be using it virtually and essentially get their field trip online. So yes, we're hoping to reach all age groups, people in Westfield, out of Westfield. And as we expand on the tours that we're creating, Fred was up in Granville this week. We may look outside of Westfield as well.
I find it fascinating, and talk about timely. I know you mentioned that you were talking about this before COVID hit, but the timing couldn't be more perfect for you.
Exactly. And when Fred came to me with his idea, it was exactly what we needed, the perfect timing. And that's what we're hearing from people, is that this is something that they can do since they're housebound.
The hardest part of this day right now is trying to design. It's trying to design it, because originally, like Cindy, when Cindy and I talked about the historic monument tour, that was originally designed for the 5th grade. And then it materialized to where, okay, it has to be used by all grades now. Remember, it changed and went from elementary to high school. So when you design the tours now and you make them and you narrate them, you have to kind of go down the middle of the road, because you can't make it too easy. because the older people who can figure it out real quick are going to fly through it in 5 minutes and not learn anything, but they can say they've done it. Where you have to make it a little bit difficult and have the older ones, you know, are going to cheat a little bit.
Older students, yeah.
Okay.
Well, older people too, let's face it.
Yeah, you know they're going to cheat. The younger kids are, you have to make it simple enough for them too, so they can maneuver through it. So there's a fine line that we have to ride down the middle. I did a tour of the drum factory in Granville over the weekend, and they have tours all the time up there. And they actually have scripts designed, I think, for individual, okay, this is third grade, this is an adult, this is whoever. And we can't do that. We have to go down the middle of the road so everybody understands the same thing.
But because it's so interactive, I think it draws everybody in, and you can spend as little or as long a time as you want on each picture. And we designed it so there is an audio portion to each picture. You can hear it. There's also a text. You can read it for those who are hearing impaired or just want to spend more time reading. And so there's more than just visual. There's the audio. It's just all combined. And the fact that it's interactive, you have to work to get around the room. You can't just push a button, hit play, and sit back. You have to be there. You have to click on things, or else you don't move anywhere. So for me, it's been an education, because I'm not a gamer. And this is what Fred said. He's designed it for gamers, which are what kids are. And I was not. So I had a learning curve of how to use it. But now I love it. So, and I'm hoping that it will reach all age levels.
That's got to be tough too, because my 5-year-old grandson can outmaneuver me on any computer at any time.
Right.
So it's kind of finding that balance. But you know, it sounds like the possibilities with this are absolutely endless.
Yeah, it really is. And we've had a lot of requests now for future videos. Teachers are asking. The Dewey House came to us and asked us to do that. So I think people are realizing the value of these tours.
Well, like, you know, part of it is, yes, for the people in this present day to be able to do these tours. But to me, the even bigger blessing with this is preserving our history.
That's what we hope. Yes.
Well, Dave, I do work for other cities and towns around. I did a big project for somebody up in East Hampton, and they were trying to save a large building up there, and they wanted to demonstrate and show, you know, what it looks like, because people can't go in. We did a tour on, they're using it as a fundraiser. So
this is what, City Space, right?
Correct.
Yeah, the old town hall.
Yes, and they needed millions of dollars to help renovate. And they called and said, hey, can you do a virtual tour up here? Because right now we can't let people in, like, to see everything. And if people are going to donate, they really need to see, hey, look at the deterioration. Look at over here. Look at over here. This is where your money is going to be used to help build it. And if you think about it, you can use this technology for really anything you want to use it for. And I keep having to correcting Cindy, because this is not a video.
Right. Correct.
But every time people refer to it as a video, it's not a video, because a video you can just hit stop or play and it's going to go. Like Cindy said, if you don't touch anything, Dave, you're not going anywhere.
Not going. Well, you know, that's like my gripe too. People say, oh, we came to your place and filmed it. It's like, we don't use film anymore.
No, it's all digital. Everything is digital.
Yeah.
Fred, you know, when you talk about East Hampton, I mean, the catalyst behind this, my guess is you're getting a lot of inquiries into having this done, because, well, like you talked, the drum factory in Granville. I remember years ago at the TV station, Scott Cohn did a feature on it, and I've lived here all of my life, and I had no idea this place existed.
It's really impressive. I was talking with the owner the other day, and I've been there several times. I love going there. I always learn something when I go there. And I had no idea, there's a drum set up there that was part of Paul McCartney's tour. They actually made the drums for that. And he was naming some of the artists that used their drums. And it was like, wow, it was seriously impressive. And everything is handmade, which, I mean, they are using equipment that is over 100 years old. And if you ever have a tour, which right now, no one's going out, so you're going to be able to check out that drum factory and check out all the technology back in the early 1900s. I mean, we have photos of a big heater that they use to steam the wood, to bend it. You can actually bend the wood into a knot, and it's like a piece of oak, and you can actually bend it with your hands and tie it into a knot. And I think places like that, that's what the people want to see, is the historic part of it too. So you're right. You can use this for anything that you really want to use it for.
Cindy, I know as the head of the historical commission that, for so many folks who have lived in Westfield and they kind of forgotten what they have there, and for all the new people coming into the city, I mean, what a great thing to have anytime, outside of COVID-19, but especially now.
Well, exactly. And that's what we're hoping, is that to have a new awareness of what we have right here in Westfield. We were founded just 50 years after the Pilgrims arrived. That's how old we are. And for a long time, we were the wild, wild west of all the colonies. And I don't think people realize the historic nature of our town. And after the historic tour, I think the most common comment that both Fred and I got, I had no idea those monuments were downtown. And they probably walked by them every day of their lives and never even noticed them. So just taking that time to appreciate what we do have here. And I have to say, I don't know if you heard about the return of our sword that was on the statue downtown. That really awakened a lot of interest in, well, who was General Shepherd and why was he so important? So I think people are asking those questions now, which is great. We love it.
Yeah, that was a great story. Actually, mentioning that for some folks who don't realize what that was, there was a sword that was taken from that General Shepherd statue, and it was a mystery for years.
It was, yeah. I've got it right here, 40 years. And it was suddenly disappeared one day off of the statue. And 40 years later, the person who had it just felt that he needed to do the right thing. And we were so grateful that he did. No questions asked, although he did tell us the story, which was kind of humorous. But, it's never too late to do the right thing. And I think it kind of renewed an interest in history in Westfield, which is wonderful.
Fred, you've been here all of your life, and I mean, there's just so many things around here, so much history around here. I mean, you talk about Westfield, we talk about Columbia bicycles, just for one thing to mention, but all through Western Mass, the history.
The history is incredible. What I'm hoping to, when the weather breaks, I'm hoping to get my foot in like the Newgate prison in Granby. Mm-hmm. I've been all through that, and that is got loads of history, and there's tons of kids that go to it, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to go back to it or not. But the old Newgate prison you have, and there's so many other places that we're not thinking about. And Cindy and I have asked people, hey, if you have an idea, send it to us, because we're not probably thinking of it. So if you have any listeners that want to get a hold of us, they certainly can drop us an email and say, hey, how about thinking about this place, or how about that? Because there's so many places around here that a good example, one of the most popular tours, I just checked the hits on it today. We released it not long ago. There's over 2,000 hits on it as of this morning. There's an old one-room schoolhouse, Dave, in Wyben. It's one of the last around. We went in and we shot that. We have no narration. We have no text. We have basically nothing except 360 photos and a couple of tight photos in there. And people love that tour because you can't go into it. And they want to see what's in there, but they can't go in. It's little things like that that I think are getting the interest back.
It sounds like you're just scratching the surface of this. And really, the most important thing as you talk about that, you'll be able to get people into places where, again, like you say, with that schoolhouse, they're not allowed to go.
Exactly. Yeah. Some high school teachers have asked us to do one on the government of Westfield. And of course, you can't get into City Hall now, but we're finding that people are letting just the two of us in to do these tours, as in the museum at the Athenaeum.
Yeah, the Edward Smith Museum. I don't know if you've seen that one, Dave.
Yep.
That one, you can't get in there right now. So the kids are, are wondering what's up there, but you can't do it.
I think of things like even in Springfield, the Tower of the Campanile. You can't get up there. Different places like that where it's like, here's an insight. And yes, like you said, we may not allow tours, but we'll allow one or two people there. Cindy, as you look at Westfield, I mean, what other places do you want to take people to?
Well, we've talked about the old burying grounds in town. We've talked about the past and present industries of town. We're looking into an immigrant tour of where the different immigrant groups first landed here in Westfield. The canal certainly has been of interest. So, the possibilities are endless.
Fred, this has opened up a whole new venture for you too.
It has. I'm almost at $1 an hour now. So my pay is skyrocketed, it is time consuming, but it gets me into the places too, which it keeps you busy, it keeps you doing things. And like you said, people don't mind one or two people in there, but when we go in, we abide by all the rules, all the regulations. I make sure the camera equipment stays away from everything. People are touchy right now, and it's okay. I mean, we have to be careful too. So I think everybody appreciates it when we leave too, that we documented that situation just in case anything happened. We have it. I'm not sure if it's forever. Forever is a long term, but it's certainly good for now. I mean, we don't know what technology is going to bring. So we're just hoping that the technology we're using now is going to be around for a little while. And it's not going to change.
For someone who's been in the news business for so many years like you, this has got to be a lot of fun doing these different things.
I love it. I mean, I'm still with the Republican and Mass Live. I still do freelancing with them, and I love working with them. And when the pandemic hit, like everybody else, if you're an event photographer or anything, you're basically done. There's nothing going on. MGM is gone. I mean, as far as events go, there's no more big social events. There's no more concerts. All that's gone. And I'm like, okay, it's time to start studying something else. And that's when I got into 360 and virtual reality. And I haven't looked back. I still do my real photos like I normally do, but the 360 and all is just so much nicer than anything. It was trying to convince Cindy that she would call me up, Fred, the tour's not working. This is stuck. That's stuck. Drag everything over to her house, put it on a counter, and say, hold down the photo, and then you can spin it and rotate it. Oh, okay, gotcha now.
Cindy, this is one of those things where, nice to have that technology now, but can you imagine what it would have been to have that technology 40, 50 years ago, to preserve things that we don't have any longer?
Right. The stereoscopes. what were those little machines? The viewers
Viewmaster.
that we had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Viewmaster. Yep.
the Viewmaster. I mean,
That was-
this is kind of similar to that. If you look at it, you can get the Oculus, you can go in 3-dimensional, you see it. This all started in the gaming industry. And when I was trying to explain things to Cindy, when we first hooked up, I was telling her, if I showed any of those tours to a 5-year-old kid, they would walk through. I wouldn't have to show them anything. I would just say, here's the tour, and go do it. Because all the kids know is once they get in the castle, they need to find the store. They need to find the bag of money. They need to find the exit. All the kids know what they're doing. The adults have the problem. The kids are running it fine.
Isn't that always the case?
Yeah. Certainly is. But now I've got it.
Another thing too, Dave, that is being worked on is the rail trail.
Mm.
I did the Southwick Rail Trail for the town of Southwick, and it's for the people who might not be able to walk it. So now they can walk it and see what's out there. The technology is it's not limited by anything.
I just love the fact that for all of this, you're opening up a whole new world to people.
Yeah, good and bad, because it takes a lot of work if you're gonna get into it. Like I said, I think I'm up to $1 an hour.
And that's the point too. Fred has been so generous with all the time he puts into it, as well as our narrators. We have 2 people who narrate the audio for us, and they virtually do it free of charge. And it's hours and hours of work. So again, we cannot tell them all how grateful we are for all of this, because it wouldn't have happened. The historic.
Dave, I'm going to show you. This is an actual script that we get or we make. Okay.
Yep.
And everything is taken from the script. We actually have JPEG Luca and Adam Wright, who do our narration right now. We take the script, they drop it into soundtracks. They send the soundtracks to me. I divide the soundtracks to the appropriate scenes, just like regular video, and that's what we all put together. But we rely heavily on the people who are supplying us the information, like the drum factory. I don't know anything about drums, so I'm relying on them to tell us, the same as the Edwin Museum there. Dr. Brown was the expert in that, so he did all the scripting, and Cindy would write the script up. The script would then get sent to the sound guys. The sound guys would lay down their version of the tracks. It would come back to here, get divided to the appropriate photos, and then we put it all together, make sure everything works, and then we all look at it, make sure there's no real errors, and then it finally gets released.
It's just a great thing for folks who are listening or watching, because as good as Zoom is, we're running out of time. But let's talk about how they can get in touch with you. Well, first, let's talk about the videos that you have done, how people can watch those, and then how people can get in touch with you if they're interested in doing this.
Okay, well, the links are all on the City of Westfield Historical Commission site. So just go to cityofwestfield.org, then click on Historical Commission, and it's at the bottom of our site there. It's also on the Schools of Westfield site. Just look under their linked pages. And then the Athenaeum just posted them on their website. So there's 3 different places where you can find the links. And to get in touch with us, my email is on the Historical Commission site. Certainly can send it to me, or if they know Fred, let them know. And we're more than happy to look into any ideas people have. It's Fred Gore Photography, right, Fred?
Yeah, if they just go Fred Gore Photo at Gmail, I'll get it.
Fred, the other part of this too is, you talk about giving tours and everything else, but for businesses, what a great marketing tool.
It is. It's been around for actually a while in businesses.
Real estate, I know, is one of them.
Real estate, it's been very popular with. There was just a massive drop off, actually, in my opinion, when the houses were selling. By the time the agent got back, I mean, this real estate market is crazy right now. I mean, and I've had commercial people approach me to try and market their commercial stuff. Buildings that are vacant. We want to show what it looks like. New businesses that move in. I've done new businesses that move in. They want to show what they have to offer. So I come in, I snap everything. It's like walking through their business. The real estate people, they love it because you're going through the house and you don't even have to leave your house to go to the next house. So it's used for everything.
Cindy, and I think one of the things we haven't really touched on, maybe just a little bit, but the response to this, you said it's been really good.
It has been, and it's very heartwarming to see how much people appreciate this of all ages. Again, we originally designed it for teachers, and they're loving it. But also, a lot of senior citizens are telling us how much they appreciate it because they're not able to get out right now. Just everyone who's seen it has been very, very positive. So we're grateful for that.
I love it. What a great way to preserve our history for everyone. And Fred, I think it's going to be around for a long time. I have this feeling.
I'm hoping so. We thought film was going to be around for a long time, and we know what happened to that.
But I think for both of you too, to have your names tied to the history like this. I know I've done a couple of pieces for Cable Endowment where with the history in Springfield and everything else, and how proud I am, and I'm sure the guys who do the narration for you, to have their voices tied to the history of Westfield. I mean, what a great thing for everybody, and just a huge home run.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's what we were hoping.
Well, it's good to see you both. Stay COVID free.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for all your time.
We all know too that, hey, if you can't get there to take the regular tour, you can do a virtual tour anytime.
And then hopefully go do it in person once COVID is over.
Indeed.
Yeah, because you can't replace going in person.
My thanks to Cindy Gaylord and Fred Gore for being my guests on this week's podcast. Now, again, to learn more about these virtual reality tours, you can visit Fred's website, fredgore.com. You can also learn more about the Westfield Historical Commission and the virtual tours they offer by visiting cityofwestfield.org. Thanks for watching or listening to this week's edition of the Even Better Western Mass podcast. Stay safe, stay well, and if you can, join me next week.